for illegal possession of arms and ammunition since the stabilization from June. During this continuing stabilization intervention, they have also seized 706 illegal guns, including semi-automatic rifles, high-caliber rifles, hunting rifles, shotguns, revolvers, pistols, no quash, and homemade. A total of 6,045 rounds of ammunition were also taken away from our street. Not in the province. Yesterday we managed to catch about 12 guns. Yes, 12 guns. It's in Mpumalanga. That is crime intelligence-driven operations. And in Free State, we arrested 7 criminals with four guns, high-caliber guns. That happened yesterday. Again, is a crime intelligence-driven operations. I'm saying these things so that you don't ask your famous question. Your famous question if the intelligence is working. So you can now begin to cut off on that question. It has been a very famous question. So even the hunting thing was a crime-driven operation, and it's beginning to give us the good results. And even here, because besides that, is a project-driven intelligence also is playing a very crucial role going forward. It's a brief. The main thing here is to say we promised to bring the team, and the team is here. It's not just here. The team is working. The team is going to achieve what we're supposed to do to make South Africans safe, especially the KZN people must be safe and they must feel safe. Thanks.
Thank you very much, Minister, for the address. We will take a round of questions. I will take 5 sets of questions, and please can you introduce yourself and the media house you're representing. I see one.
Everybody answers, ne?
Yes. Maybe the first one, 2, 3, in that order, please.
Thank you so much. So, Desiree from African News Agency. I was just wondering, you said you've taken the decision to change members of the task team, but obviously if you could just share with us why and when that was done. And you were talking the last time you mentioned here about Operation Thunder. Is that still on the cards, of bringing Operation Thunder to KwaZulu-Natal? And then just about the Marana Commission report. Have you seen the report? And what are your thoughts on that? It is being tabled and legislated today. Thank you.
Thanks. So this one from Daily Sun newspaper. Mine would be like, check out the 6 arrests done by this team or the whole team, and also where are they? Because I know there is regions, Moscow, where the crowd was, and also it must not be the way it was. I want to know where they were caught.
Usiphamandla Koke from ENCA. Have been partly covered, but I will paraphrase my question to ask, what do you attribute this success to? Because clearly this new team that has been overhauled, if it's been able to register this one, why was the previous one not able to do so? That's number one. But also number 2, perhaps it goes to the prosecution team. Do you have watertight cases, or is it a rushed job of arresting people because you are under pressure? Are you confident that you will secure convictions and the prosecutions? Number 3, which cases were withdrawn from the previous teams that have been reinstated by this team, and why?
We'll take Ayanda.
Ayanda from SABC. Mine is also to advocate local from the prosecution team. The last briefing that was held, I think it was the Minister of Intelligence Minister spoke about issue with witnesses. that people are not coming forward, and obviously in order for you to prosecute these cases, in some instances you need the witnesses. Maybe Advocate Nobo, they said the last time the minister spoke about how they're going to look at witness protection program, or how they're going to handle the matter of witnesses. Have you made, or you feel confident now that you'll be able to get people to come forward and testify in these cases?
Thank you very much for the questions. Minister and the panel, over to you.
I'm glad I'm answering only two. The rest will be answered by the specific from Kwanazi and Advocate Nogo. Have you seen the Morane Commission today is being presented to the legislature? I'm not a member of legislation, which means I haven't seen it. I hope one day it will come, but up to this point, we haven't. Operation Thunder. Yesterday we launched Operation Buyamteto in Gauteng. It would not be Thunder as it comes here. It will have its special name. Yesterday we launched Gauteng. We have saturated Gauteng with every and any kind of police unit, starting from yesterday going forward. As we were launching it yesterday, the Operation Buyamteto, we had a 24-hour raid, and we netted 84 of the highly wanted criminals in Gauteng in 24 hours. I was there around about 5 in the morning, raiding some places, hostels. It was quite fulfilling to knock at the doors and open the doors, and abanye sibafice bephalaze hostel ekuseni, figure out ekuseni and all that. Out of those, there were 15 that were most wanted. In 24 hours, out of them we got 4. We're still chasing some. So the KZN will come and we'll know the name. The Operation Thunder is still thundering in Western Cape. So those will be 2 for me. Or you ask why the change of the team? The change of the team. If you don't get the results that you are looking at, you'll change. Those that play sport, they know what you revert back to your bench when you don't score the goals. So we have to revert and change the people, not because maybe people don't do their work. Sometimes there is an English that what they call this English familiarity breeds contempt. Maybe people, they become more familiar with their territory, and they get adapted in the territory and adopted by the situation. So you need to change. I'm very sure that members that would have maybe didn't do very well here will put them on other areas and they do very well. Variety is just a spice of life. That's why people would not perform in this area, bring them in that area, it performs. So this team is performing. It's one more question. 6 people? Yes, this team. It's for the last 2 weeks.
Okay.
Yeah, it's for last two weeks. This 6 team and the 2 associated guns. So.
Which areas?
Umkhwanazi nangu. Nguyena wazama area yakhe.
Repeat reluctant to say that.
Oh, ayabangitshela ukuthi maybe for now is an unanswerable question. It might. I do have, as you say, I do have. That's why I throw it to him, because I did not want to be much operational. But it might help us to say there are 6. 5 of them having got bail, 1 is on bail, and where they are, maybe we are still dealing, working with them, around them to find the rest, more successes.
finally, which matters? It matters.
Allow the police to respond, but you must also remember that we are on the ongoing operations. We don't want to sit here and have answers that begin to jeopardize our progress.
Thank you, Minister. Perhaps to answer on that, I think it's going to help if we understand that one of the colleagues, or your colleagues, have asked the question, what do we do about protection of witnesses? And the Minister did present earlier that we've done a lot of linkages on cases, and we are able to identify some cases where one perpetrator was involved in more than one case. Now, if we're going to start telling you about which case, it means we might compromise another case. We might scare witnesses of other cases, because if they hear that that specific case there's been some movement, they might run away. So we don't want to disclose the exact cases, especially because the prosecution team will tell you that until the court pronounces on cases, we're not necessarily going to be talking much about what is going on in the case. Thank you.
Uzophendula.
Thank you very much. There was a question about whether we have watertight cases or are they just being rushed. Are we sure we're going to secure convictions or what? We are working in terms of the guidelines that we have in the prosecution. We have part 4 of the prosecution policy manual that gives us a criteria. For example, it tells us you don't enroll a case which does not have reasonable prospects of a successful prosecution. So that is the criteria that we are using. What the police bring to us, we go through, having guided them through our process of prosecutor-guided investigation, the PGI. We go through that, and if we are satisfied that there are reasonable prospects of a successful prosecution, then we enroll them. So as far as we are concerned with the police, we have prospects of success, but we don't know what complications and technicalities can happen later in those cases, and we lose them, but we hope not to lose them. We're doing our best. So they are not just rushed, the police have done their best, and those cases look good, so they are not rushed. There was also a question about withdrawn cases, which cases, why they were withdrawn. I'm sure you are aware of the sub judice principle, that we cannot divulge the details of cases. So I cannot tell you why there was a withdrawal in that particular case, because that would entail me now getting into the details of cases and the merits. I can't do that. But I can just say to you, most of the cases, almost 90%, if not 95% of the cases that were withdrawn, I have reviewed them together with my team in my office, and we have reinstated them. So that's all I can say as far as the withdrawal of cases are concerned. You also asked about the witnesses, whether we are hopeful that we're going to get them to testify or not. I have issued directives to all the prosecutors in the province, which directives have also been given to the police, and they form part of each and every case docket that come to us as a result. Part of the directives is that we will interview state witnesses in these cases within 21 days of these matters having been enrolled and still in the district courts. So we are doing our best as far as that is concerned. But we cannot run away from the fact that some witnesses come, we don't know whether they are threatened, they fear victimization or whatever. That happens, it's normal. But we do have processes that we apply in terms of the Criminal Procedure Act, whereby we deal with hostile and recalcitrant witnesses, and we deal with them in terms of the law. And with regards to witness protection also, we explain to them that we do have witness protection program within the National Prosecuting Authority. Whoever feels threatened or scared will be placed together with their families under the witness protection family, but I cannot divulge which cases we do have such instances, because Section 17 of the Witness Protection Act forbids me to do that. Otherwise, I'll be committing a criminal offense if I tell you which witnesses are on the program, which ones are not. But just know that we are invoking the provisions of the program that we have as far as witnesses are concerned. Thank you very much.
Hawk will interview us, not interrogate us. Because she says the cases were withdrawn. You want her to detail the weaknesses and the strength of the cases for reinstatement. No, it's not. Leave us there then.
Thank you very much, Minister. We are taking the last round of questions. And can you just avoid a dialogue? Please allow the panel to respond before posing another question. Rianda, you are 1, Goke 2, 3, 4, 5. It will be in that order, and it's the last round of questions.
Okay, Zianda from Eyewitness News 702. I think my question is best directed at you, Minister. I know you haven't seen the Morani Commission reports, but some of the submissions made during that commission was that there's a lot of political interference with the investigations into political killings, particularly with regards to the old team. So can you please just give us an indication of whether that was something or one of the reasons why you decided to change members of the team, but also what tools have or safeguards have you put in place to ensure that there will no longer be any possible political interference in getting to answers regarding these cases?
From ENCA again, it's just a follow-up, but we will not interrogate you on this. There were some allegations and reports that perhaps some of the members of the task team could have been or might have been compromised. Have you heard of those allegations, and what would be your response or your comment on that one? Was it one of the considerations for changing or overhauling the task team? Number 2, this one is of interest. You said you are not a member of the legislature, you haven't seen the Morani Commission report, but you are the Minister of Police. Surely it might have, or you would have some interest in just perusing that classified report. I think it's important on this one.
From the Times. The question is related to the one that has been asked by Zianda here. Minister, there have been allegations of police complicity in terms of interfering with investigations, and there is one incident that stands out of a senior police officer who visited one mayor and told him that the Hawks had intercepted a plot to assassinate him. But there were question marks around the meeting because he wanted a private meeting and he didn't want anyone to know about the particular meeting. And the mayor was left with a lot of questions because there was no feedback after that meeting. So have you had any similar cases where police are alleged to have interfered with the investigations?
Independent newspapers. Minister, I would like to know as to why did you have to retain the other 8 members from your previous team and decided to drop the rest? That's my first question. And secondly, you said that the new team is going to be independent. I just want to know as to maybe the previous one was have the setup interference, maybe that affected them not to do their work in the right way. That's my second question. My last question is about you said you have dedicated more resources to the new team. So maybe to give us some light as to was the old team under-resourced or what?
Steve Bing from East Coast Radio. I just want to know, during the Morani Commission hearings, some high-ranking officials were implicated through testimonials given by witnesses. So what's going to happen now? Will you bring after them?
Okay, that's the last round. Any other questions before we close? For the last time, go.
Yes. When is KwaZulu-Natal getting a permanent provincial commission?
When you appoint one.
Can we close the round of questions? Minister, I will hand over to you in the panel for response.
Okay, the high-ranking officials, well, it was not explained. High-ranking where? Are they?
Sorry, some are politicians.
Some ranking high politicians, officials?
Yes.
Okay. Okay. More resources, National Commissioner. Political interference. Well, it's a story that I'll link up with you, Babu members. It's a story that we have had. It's a story that we have had. It's a story that we don't have the evidence. So, from this world of work, you have information and you have evidence. So, usually you push your information to the new block to become the evidence. It's something that we cannot ignore, but also is something that we cannot rush. So it will be part of answering what happened with some members. This also answers the question of number of 8 people. That's why some members that would not have maybe behaved, maybe performed as they were expected. That question has been raised with us, and that question is looked at, and we are not going to provide answers before we come at the bottom of the story, what really happened. But that allegation has been made, and it has reached the office of the both commissioners, province, national, and myself.
I was going to say, if you say there is no evidence, but the mayor made a private submission to the Moran Commission today.
It remains an information. It remains an information. That is their Moran and all this information. That's why we need to put it in a thorough hot pot to convert it to evidence. Because if it's with Moran and it's with me, have we asked that person that the allegation has been done about? No. So it cannot then be taken for it. It remains information. But what we can commit here is that it would not be a dog that would be let lie. So we'll have to deal and follow it up. Compromise members of the team. I don't know about the word compromise. Maybe it goes back to the point you have just raised. If there will be some issues about the teams, these teams are our members, and the I don't know what they call it in their big Latin, the advocates here, Aripam, what do you call that? Exactly. That everybody is given an opportunity. So if you say they are compromised, I don't know which way are they compromised. But it's a similar question with the first one. Is there political interference? They were involved in political determination? Are they compromised and all that? I think we can put that question. We can only come back on that when it is investigated and discovered that indeed they deviated from the way that we're supposed to do things. And it's easy. If it is discovered that we deviated, you must face the consequences. That's how life goes. But again, we're not going to hang you before you go through all the processes and yourself you are able to say this did happen, this didn't happen, and this is how it happened and all that. Morane, I don't know why I'm thrown with this Morane commission. Morane is not a cop, not a police. Doesn't report to me. Morane reports to the premier, and premier put these things to the processes. And the report, as far as I understand, has not been made a public report. That's why it's going through the processes. I know. One day we're here, it went to the executive of the province, today it's in the legislature, becomes up. Unless okay, you tell me, Wuti, there is a quick information that I must use to arrest somebody here before he gets out of the room. But otherwise, we'll wait. It will come to us, and we will look at it. What will help us going forward on the Moran Commission, like all other commissions. Usual commissions are finalized and are processed. Your Falam, that's why your Falam Commission, after Falam Commission, there was Judge Nchangase who processed it. Now it's going to the Transformational Committee that is headed by Bishop, and then until it comes to be a usable kind of the document. We'll wait for that. If there are things to be pursued by the police, the prosecution, and everybody, we will do that. But it is on the process going forward. Surely it will arrive to us. Police complicity, I don't know, Commissioner will work on that. It's the same question as Mthetho. I think it's answered. Why 8 members were retained? Because we're retainable. because we're retainable. One, there were cases that themselves were pursuing, and you could have disturbed the case if you take the case away from them. So you keep them there. And you don't just replace because you want to replace you, because you want your team to win. 2, they had skills that they fitted in the part that were there. And then the workload, they had their load, but also because they're skilled, they had this work in their hands, you had to maintain them on that one. But 4, or not 3, they were available to be on the new team, but 4, they would have been a resource, some of them, on the new members that have joined the team in KZN. So those would be the basic reasons that why they were independent. All teams must be independent. That's why we are calling this team, so that we catch you next time asking the question of complicity, interference, and political interference. So we just remind the teams at all time they must behave as such way, so that we don't get this question. Not because the previous one was not independent. It's a standard thing, like when your grandmother every morning say, "Uhambe kahle mntanami," not because something bad is going to happen to you, but we agree that there were those accusations. So for us not to go back to those accusations, we must emphasize the independence of the team going forward. More resources, Commissioner will deal with that.
Yeah, Minister, thank you very much for the opportunity. Maybe Minister can just start by adding to say the let's call it disciplinary code, and 2, it's got a code of ethics, a code of conduct, and a value system. All of them, they don't provide for the term compromise or any other term. You either have presented yourself in a particular manner and violate the disciplinary code, and we take action according to the disciplinary code. I'm just adding to the Minister. Then Minister, the resources, I just want to explain it correctly so that it can be understood. If there's a critical investigation in any province in the country out of the 9, they will first come up with a provincial initiative or approach. And if they assemble a multidisciplinary task team at that level, then they will follow the concept of integration of resources. So when the first task team was assembled, they use resources from the province in an integrated fashion, which means they put their resources together. But when we came with the new approach, we decided that the resources at the level of the province that are integrated are not enough. Then I brought in national resources. And we also changed the approach from task team to project plan. Now you would know the moment you come up with a project approach, then you dedicate certain resources into the project. And what also needs to be further taken into account is that we brought in new members. Like for instance, the minister has explained the tactical commander is from Mpumalanga, is not from this province. There's a number of national investigators that came through to the province. So that's a new resource requirement into that particular project. Hence, I have then directed that national resources are going to be committed into the province. And these are resources that are enough for this project to be executed. Thank you.
Thank you very much to Minister, National Commissioner, Acting PC, and Mamloko. Thank you for your responses. Ladies and gentlemen, that brings us to the end of this briefing, and have yourself a good day further. 7 minutes.
Ngizakwazi.